The next prompting technique that we're going to work with is called summarization. Very basic and simple. We can summarize large amounts of text and data in very condensed, summarized manner with ChatGPT using this prompting technique. So for this specific task, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this paper from IPCC website on global warming, and I'm going to copy its executive summary and paste it into ChatGPT and ask it to summarize it for me. So I copied a pretty long consecutive summary. I'm going to write it here in inverted triple commas. So the reason for triple commas is that it helps ChatGPT understand that this is a specific part of the data that has been provided, so it doesn't confuse the instructions with the data set. So when you're using data from external sources and copy pasting into ChatGPT, it's standard practice to add triple commas to it. Could you please summarize the information in 200 words? And now it's going to summarize the information in 200 words for me. It looks a bit lengthy, so I'm going to ask it to do it in a bullet list instead. And now I have the information summarized in the bullet list. The executive summary introduces the context of assessment methods for understanding the impact of 1.5-degree global warming and greenhouse emissions pathways. Human-caused warming reached approximately 1 degree above pre-industrial levels by 2017. Warming patterns differ across regions, with land experiencing more warming than oceans. So it's a very nice, clean summary of the entire content in the executive summary that was available on the website. A very powerful technique for condensing and summarizing any piece of information. One more thing I want to add here is that anything that is available up to 2021, you can summarize entire books on it too. So for instance, I can ask it, write me a condensed summary of chapter 1 of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So now what I've done is I'm asking it to write me the summary of chapter 1 of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which is one of the Harry Potter books. Because this book was written before 2021, ChatGPT has already been trained on it and it will be able to write me a summary of the book. In the chapter 1, and it writes me a small brief summary of it. So this is a quick hack. If you're working with data that existed on the internet before 2021 publicly, you don't need to copy paste it. You can essentially directly ask it for the summary. But if you're working with new data sets, just like the global warming one that I was working with prior to in the first example, then you'll have to copy paste the data into ChatGPT to be able for it to understand the context and summarize it for you. The first topic that we will talk about when building our prompt structure is identity, or commonly referred as act as technique. This essentially means letting the AI know how to respond. And what it does is it allows the AI to understand what sort of expert opinion or synthesized information we're looking for, and the AI wears that hat when generating that information for us. Now let's start with a very basic prompt and show the power of this technique. So I'm going to ask the bot, briefly define black hole, which is a very famous physics concept. Okay, I made a spelling mistake. It caught that. A black hole is a region in space where the gravitational pull is so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape through. This phenomenon occurs when a massive star collapses under its own gravity, concentrating its mass in extremely small volume. The boundary surrounding a black hole is created event horizon and marks the point of no return for anything that goes too close. So it provides a very brief, condensed summary definition of what the word black hole means and what it refers to in 3 sentences. Now I'm going to say act as a 4-year-old, briefly define black hole, and notice how the definition will change. A black hole is like a super duper strong vacuum cleaner in space that sucks up everything around it, even light. It's like super dark, super powerful pit where things disappear and never come back. So, based on this identity that I defined for the bot, it completely changed the answer based on that. Let's try one more. This time I'm going to say act as an academic or a physicist. And now you would notice that a black hole, so now I've asked it to act as an academic, briefly define black hole. A black hole is a celestial object characterized by an extremely high gravitational field resulting from a gravitational collapse of massive stars or other massive entities. So now you see, even compared to the first answer that we got, this one looks a lot more full of academic literary words, as if it has been written by an academic. So that's the power of using the identity. By using different words, you can essentially ask ChatGPT to do a lot of different things. In this lecture note, you will find a list of act as professionals that I've attached, that I've collected from different resources that might be of help to you. The last basic prompting technique that we will cover is critical reasoning, which essentially refers to inferring data and information, deriving it from the text, and making up conclusions based on that. This is very powerful for educational and training purposes, and this is where sometimes I would expect ChatGPT to fail in terms of not being able to derive logical conclusion that human brain could have. Now, to see a very basic example of this, we can start with by saying, what is 3 plus 5? And it was logically able to deduce that, okay, yeah, 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. Now let's try a slightly more complicated word problem. So here I'm saying, when I was 4, my sister was half my age. So my sister was 2 years old. When I turn 60, what will her age be? So if she's 2 years younger than me, then her age should be 58. So now if you're turning 60, the age difference remains the same. Your sister will be 60 minus 2, 58 years old. It was able to get that. But now I'm going to slightly trick the bot. What I'm saying is, when I was 4, my sister was half my age. When she turns 60, what will her age be? So her age is essentially 60 years old right now, but GPT will fail and it will do the same calculation again, saying something else, which does not make sense. Now, I want to give you another example of how powerful ChatGPT 4 can be with reasoning by using a specific example. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT 4 I want you to act as an interviewer for the job role of blog writing. Conduct my mock interview. So that's the task I'm asking it to do. Don't break the role. So I'm saying that don't talk about anything else except the role that I've defined for you and the role is interviewer. Ask me questions and based on my response, follow with more interview questions. Interview ends when I say done. Let's start with hi. Hi, I'm glad to have you here today. Can you start by telling me a little about yourself and your experience with blog writing? I have 10 years of experience in blog writing and undergrad in English. So now it's going to process that information and ask me a follow-up question accordingly. Can you describe how your writing style or approach has changed over the years and what you believe the most significant shift in the blogging industry has been during that time? So this is a really powerful question. So just an example, I wanted to show you that instead of giving me an answer, ChatGPT was able to understand the job that, okay, now it's GPT is an interviewer and it's going to take my interview on the specific topic of blog writing. And based on after wearing that hat, it started conversing accordingly. It first asked me to tell me more about my experience and about myself, and then it asked me an industry related question. And because I said I have 10 years of experience, said what are the different things I've learned over the years to understand my psychology of work or how do I work. So this is a very powerful technique, and you can learn a lot of different things this way just by using the reasoning power of ChatGPT. To talk about is defining the task when building our prompt structures. And what that essentially means is that I need to provide clear and precise instructions to ChatGPT on what the objective of this prompt is or what the exact task is that I want it to solve for me. This is very important because essentially by providing action verbs, positive action verbs, which explicitly states the task, we are able to make ChatGPT understand what type of output is needed. Now, in the previous example on black hole, I started the sentence by saying define, which was a very strong action word that allowed ChatGPT to understand what we were looking for. Now I'm going to change this word to explain. So if you want to update your existing prompt, you will see this space here, a square button here, and if you click on it, it allows you to update your previous prompt. And now it wrote a few paragraphs in a few sentences each, and then a bullet list of different sizes categorized by their mass of black holes. So it provides us a lot more explanation versus when we use the word define. So in this way, you can use powerful actionable verbs to truly understand the power of ChatGPT and how it can be used to define specific tasks. Now, let's get more granular, and I'm going to say write down 10 blog article ideas for me on the topic of black. Now it gave me a bunch of different articles on black hole. Now, if I want, I can go back and add as an act as technique just to continue with from where we left off as an academic. Or actually, let's do as a YouTuber so that it's friendly enough for us to understand the output. Write down the 10 blog articles for me on the topic of black hole. So now it has written 10 blog articles for me because I specifically asked it to write down 10 blog articles because that's how I define the task.